I'm here with Jon, and we're going to talk about future. It's very exciting. Jon, I'd love to hear from you. Can you introduce yourself,
Yeah,
please?
I hope it's exciting. So I'm Jon Steinberg. I'm the CEO of Future PLC. We're a FTSE 250 company. We're a diversified media company. We have 230 brands ranging from Marie Claire to large tech sites like Tom's Guide and Tech Radar, to a specialist wine brand called Decanter, to cycling magazines and websites, music magazines and websites. We also own GoCompare, the insurance comparison engine for car insurance and other types of home insurance products. So yeah, I mean, for those that are unfamiliar, our peer set would be Hearst or Condé Nast or Dotdash Meredith. And before that, I was President and Chief Operating Officer of BuzzFeed for 4 years, and then I founded Cheddar, the live news network that I sold to Altice, the cable company in the U.S.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's so interesting.
It's been a journey.
And future's incredibly interesting, right? Because it really does kind of connect audiences across a huge wealth of verticals, industries. I think here I can see that it says you've got 490 million people worldwide that you reach.
And I think that a lot of what you were touching on is everyone who comes to our sites or content is engaging in a passion. It's something that they're into, a product they want to research, a topic that they care deeply about, whether it's fashion or wine or cycling or music or any of these categories, or homes. And so what I like to say is that people are enjoying spending time with our content. Nobody is there because it's hard work or something that they have to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's really interesting. I mean, that's something that I personally speak on a lot, that actually we're in a world now where content genuinely has to resonate, engage, and speak to specific communities rather than really look at that kind of broad spectrum. Because obviously, having, spoken to you outside, we know that you're looking at investing and focusing more on your kind of branded content capabilities, but why now?
So I think that we're in a fragmented, diverse media ecosystem. You and I were talking about TikTok and Instagram before, and a whole area where people are consuming content is social, and the only format in social is short form video. You and I were talking about that a bit before. Whether TikTok is all video, Instagram Reels is all video, and so it's an area of investment for us because we have a large social footprint. We have engaged followings on Tom's Guide or Living, Etc., or Marie Claire, or Who, What, Where, and it's a whole other opportunity and a whole other field for us to create content for brands on.
Yeah. And do you think as well there's been recently a real kind of shift and focus from brands, agencies, and the pressure to make sure that we're hitting bottom lines?
Yeah.
That actually we've moved away from kind of awareness and really putting focus on that upper funnel activity? Because I think that for me is also really important when it comes to kind of branded content and how we approach it, that we're missing a trick with new audiences, introducing them to kind of more niche communities.
I mean, this is something that I've been dealing with. BuzzFeed, we did brand advertising. Cheddar, we did brand advertising. I'm a huge believer in top of the funnel brand creation. Now, look, it is by its nature less measurable, but the fact is nobody wakes up in the morning and says, I'm going to buy a car, I'm going to buy a laptop, and just buys it. There's a tremendous amount of gearing activity that takes place leading up to that. And look, we walk the talk. Like, we're a huge brand advertiser for GoCompare. We believe in top of the funnel. GoCompare is one of the most well-known brands in the UK because of our opera singer, Gio Compario. Wyn Evans, the actor and reality television star, is our mascot for that. And so my entire career, I've believed in creating brands and creating consideration. There's this book I love by Byron Sharp called How Brands Grow, which is all about salience and availability. Your brand needs to be top of mind and it needs to be within arm's reach. And when you look at brands, whether it's like Coca-Cola or Budweiser or even a car dealership, really, it needs to be top of someone's mind and within distance that they can go to and get that product when they're finally ready to do the purchase.
For sure. And I think also, even outside of it sitting just kind of top of mind and it kind of being there when you're looking to kind of recall a brand that you're after, I think there is actually a lot of emotional connection when it comes to making a decision for what brand you would look at. And by emotional connection, it doesn't mean to say, I love, Go Compare, whatever that is.
Right.
Actually, it's, is it something that I can resonate with and be a part of? And I think that's where we tend to forget about that upper funnel, is more the kind of behavioral connection that we should be making with audiences, and brands should be putting more focus on.
I mean, I think about it like every time I want a beer, if I can get a Michelob Ultra, like I want a Michelob Ultra, which is actually great. I hope they watch this and maybe they'll advertise
I was going to say, you're literally 20 minutes away, John.
But what it is I don't exactly know the calorie count on a Michelob Ultra, but I know it has, or I think it has, I think it has fewer calories and carbohydrates than other brands of beer, right? And that's an education process that I've gone through. And I also have an affinity for it because I like to think of myself as being fit and active. And so if I'm going to have a beer, like I want to have one that fits with that lifestyle that I sort of ascribe to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, I think that's the really big thing is, creating that connection with consumers, which obviously is great for future and what you do, because you've got so many kind of, as we spoke about right at the beginning, those kind of niche communities that do touch on that. So educate me a bit. When we talk about branded content, I feel like it can take a load of different forms. I mean, how do you define that?
So I define it, what really got me excited about branded content when I was at BuzzFeed was I read Ogilvy on Advertising.
Oh yeah.
Have you read that?
I actually haven't, but I'm hearing WPP.
It's amazing being at WPP talking about Ogilvy. It's a great book. It's almost like a coffee table book. It's like highly visual and it's got great. And basically, David Ogilvy pioneered advertorials.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think advertorials have like a negative connotation to them, but my view has always been if it was good enough for David Ogilvy, it's good enough for me and my clients, right? And so the idea of he created deep narrative text, and one of his precepts was longer is better, actually, for doing branded content and advertorials. And so when I got to BuzzFeed, the idea was, let's take our editorial product, whether it's quizzes or listicles, and let's create them for brands and use what's working on the editorial side and have it work on the advertising side. And so that's what I've brought to every business that I've been in. At Future, we're really good at doing product reviews and product comparisons. We're really good at doing reviews on social. And so these are products that we bring to advertisers and say we can do them for you. Who, What, Where, our fashion brand, is really good at doing shopping guides. And so we've done shopping guides for brands like Walmart, for example. So it's all about taking what worked editorially and then creating a version of it for the brand. Because the reason why the brand wants to work with you is they think that there's something that you're doing in editorial that's working. And you want to give them the thing that's working for you as a publisher, and that's where branded content comes into play.
I think it's interesting because I think so often as advertisers, when I say the word format, we'll be thinking, okay, well, is it, editorial, is it videos, is it this, is it that? We can get very specific, but I think what you're more saying is that you look to your audience and understand where they live, where they breathe, like where they might consume their content.
And form follows function. Form follows function, which is the Frank Lloyd Wright saying, which is basically you come up with the story or the idea or the concept you want to tell, and then whether you're doing video or display units or an article, or doing an implementation on social, those are all tactics to execute on what is the story and what is the idea.
Yeah. So, I mean, we can sit here and we both live and breathe this, and we know it's powerful, but what kind of new opportunities do you feel like this opens to advertisers that they might not have explored or even thought about quite yet?
I think, I've never had large-scale display inventory. This is the first business I've been in where we've had a large enough footprint to be able to do display. And so, as I was kind of saying to you earlier, I'm excited about these what I call 360-degree packages, where for a brand we're doing branded content, whether it's video or an article. We're doing display inventory that keeps that brand message persistent throughout the user's journey. And we may even do affiliate e-commerce. Affiliate e-commerce is a big business for us, right? Overall across it, we're deriving about 1/3 of our revenue through affiliate e-commerce when you include Go Compare. And so I want the advertisers to come to us, or they never come to us, we go to them and we say, what is the story you want to tell? And then we bring them a full menu of appetizer, entree, and dessert, which is all of those components.
For sure.
Yeah.
So it's, I guess, more about understanding the problem and then finding the solution that will work for the brand and the audience to make form that
what I
connection.
really like about Cannes is that we get to spend a lot of time with our agency partners and with the clients, and we get to talk about, I was out with a client for dinner last night. We were talking about the specific challenges, of that snack brand, right? We have a briefing with a technology partner tomorrow, actually a WPP partner as well, and they are going to tell us about what is the message they want to spell out for the coming year, and it's our job to come back with our tools. What can we do to answer that question? That's when I'm most excited, and that's when I'm most happy. When somebody comes to us and they're like, we want you to run these specific display ads. Look, I'm excited about that, and all money is green, and we're happy to do that. But it's much less exciting to me than when we get to work as a creative partner in doing the whole entire storytelling.
Yeah. Do you think it's important as well to be that creative partner and to be able to kind of advise from a content perspective? I think quite often when we kind of speak to brands, there are fixed ideas, but actually kind of innovation tends to come with exploring new things. I think we quite often talk about relevant irrelevance, so something that's relevant to the brand and can be ownable, but is in a way irrelevant. It sticks out, it stops people scrolling, it catches people's attention, even if it is kind of display and it's just kind of sitting on the side. Like, getting involved with that process must be really important for you guys.
It is. It's important, and I thought kind of where you were going with the question was.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. No, that's okay. No, I thought where you were going with it is, how do you get brands to see that, or how do you get brands and agency partners to want to do that? And I think the answer really is there's enough people that want to do that.
Yeah.
And I think if you have a brand that says, we've got the messaging, this is what we want to do it. I mean, the challenge there is if they don't involve you as a creative partner, it might not perform as well, which makes it really hard to get a renewal. The best situation is where you can be a collaborative partner, because then you can ensure that it really works and performs according to the metrics that they have.
For sure.
Yeah.
So I guess on the topic of content,
Yeah.
do you see a particular kind of content that you feel really resonates with specific audiences?
Yeah, we have products and specialties at Future that are sort of, I think, unique to us and perform really well. Like, we have these guides, these shopping guides that I really like, and they're really specific. And if you go to if you search for best laptop, we typically come up first or second in the search results, Tech Radar or Tom's Guide. And within that, there's a navigation that's like best laptop for school children, best laptop for creative professional, best laptop for office worker, and you can kind of drill down. And then when you're there, you're given different price options. And so I think that those shopping guides are something that we really excel at. The other thing that we do is these comparison articles, which I like a lot as well, where we're sort of facing off two competing type of products like the Meta Quest with the Apple Vision Pro, and taking common use cases and problems that the consumer or the reader may have, or decisions that they may have, and aiding them in those decisions, I think is particularly useful. And I think that's part of the reason why people kind of go to our sites.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I think it's really interesting in terms of the comparisons, and also even speaking about price. And obviously when you do look at something like, consumer tech, price is a factor, but do you see specific kind of consumer trends as a publisher that you then respond to and can advise on?
I think we see areas that become surprisingly interesting, where the consumer has really decided to move online with their behavior and keen to shop and look for something. And what I mean by that, what I'm getting at, what I'm thinking about in my head is, mattresses are a really hot online category, and our broadcast controller over here is laughing. He must have been. Were you shopping for a mattress recently?
Also, the enthusiasm there.
No,
like,
the reason, it is so surprising to me that has become such an important category for us and such an important traffic source. And I mean, maybe I'm overstating the case. That's not that important, but it's a category. It's a category for us now, right? And if you told me, if you told me 20 years ago that a hot online shopping category where consumers would be doing deep research would be mattresses, I would tell you were crazy, because you have to lay down on the mattress and you got to go to the mattress store, and that's a whole shift in behavior that we've seen. So we tend to see these categories that kind of heat up and pop through.
For sure.
Yeah.
And okay, I guess on that topic then, like, is there anything at the moment that you feel like is going to boom? Is there anything from the expert that can see it happening as a publisher from, the consumer trends? Is there anything
another trend, and this may not be one that's particularly new, but a lot of people don't know about, is VPNs, virtual private networks. People are keenly interested in those right now for two reasons. A is for being able to watch out-of-region shows, so you can set your geographic locale. And then the other is that people, I think, are very concerned about privacy and security, and VPN offers an additional level of security. People are concerned about what their internet service provider is seeing, and when they're on a Wi-Fi, having their credit card numbers intercepted, or social security number or the like. And so I think that we are definitely seeing, and have seen for a while, this deep interest in privacy and security.
Yeah, I guess on that topic then, if we're seeing the kind of privacy and security sector come up and you can see it as a big opportunity, I guess, do you feel that there are particular industries or verticals that are particularly well suited to kind of engaging audiences in this way?
I think that if you look at Apple, and it's always bad to use Apple as an example because it's the best company on earth, right? But a lot of what Apple highlighted in their most recent developer day, and has been highlighting for a while, is the fact that Apple is the privacy-centric, mobile phone technology, right? And so I think that's particularly attuned to it as well. And I think that even when you think about a fashion brand, I think people just generally, when they're buying stuff, don't really want to have that be public information. It kind of runs contrary to another trend that I'm sure we'll talk about, which is influencers and wanting to be out there on Instagram with what you bought or what you're wearing. And I know they're called hauls, right?
Yeah.
Hauls, like where people like
Get
dump
ready
out the
with me,
bag.
Jon.
So I think there's a lot of that, but I think there's a lot of the opposite too, where people don't want to be able to do things in private. A lot of what we do in the fashion stuff is like, people selecting products or fashions for different body types, right? And that's something that I think is very personal, and so not necessarily something that a person wants to broadcast one way or the other.
I think it's really interesting, actually, even when it does come to kind of influencers and the privacy side of things. Like, I think influencers these days, it's a real career. They're very savvy. They've got their communities. They've got their audiences. They know what they like. They've got two separate lives. And I think that's really what allows them to kind of put everything out on the internet that they feel comfortable with, and then kind of have that private life.
I had a dinner with an influencer 2 weeks ago, and it was interesting. She was the girlfriend of a new friend, and I said, "Oh, what are you doing?" She said, "I'm an influencer." And it's the first time somebody had introduced themselves to me as an influencer, which I thought was kind of amazing. And then the second part that I thought was interesting was he does not want to feature in her content.
Yeah, exactly that.
At all, and he doesn't exist in her content. Now there's another influencer that I follow. The woman who runs We Wore What, or We Wear What?
Oh, yeah.
What's her name?
I can't remember. You can't put me on the spot like this.
And she has chronicled her egg freezing journey, her breakup, her new boyfriend is featured in all the stuff. And so, look, I think for influencers, that's part of what they are offering. Some are offering the totality of their life that you can be part of as a brand, and some are offering a narrowed segment of it.
Yeah. Well, look, I don't mean to make you stray. I could speak about influencers forever. I don't want to stray off the topic too much.
No, we can talk about influencers. No, I think it's interesting.
But our future of branded content, where do you think it's going?
I think that the influencer thing, we do influencer work, and I think that the future of branded content is these 360-degree packages that include all the elements and include influencers and include being on all platforms and are a specific story and angle led that you as a publisher get to be a creative partner in.
Yeah, for sure. I also think that really when we are looking at kind of brands and kind of advertising strategies, as you say, it's so fragmented, and you see that even within your kind of vertical and media. I think really what needs to happen is problem and solution, and the solution should look at the holistic view of kind of both, you know, above the line, below the line, marketing and advertising.
Yeah, look, and not to get too much into the history of advertising, but I mean, there was a time when creative agencies and media agencies were just agencies. When Don Draper was doing it, it was just agencies, right? And it has been made more difficult with the segmentation of creative and media agency. And so I do think a pulling back together is helpful, and we do see more briefs now where the creative agency and the media agency and the influencer agency are all at the table, and those are the best situations.
Yeah, totally agree. Well, Jon, thank you so much for speaking to me.
Pleasure.
I've got a fantastic book recommendation now.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
going to go off and read, probably after Cannes, to be fair.
Okay.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and yeah, have a lovely evening.